9 Whiskey, Oscar Hotel 8 Kilo X-Ray Kilo, over. QTL FT over, QTL.
So, looking for a HF rig that wasn't QRP. My little Xiegu G1M is only 5 watts. I need more. Come on. We all need more power, don't we? So, I managed to pick up the Yaesu FT747GX. Don't worry about that button not lining up, that's me. All will become apparent. And there's a few things that I found, or rather a few things I didn't find when I wanted to take it to pieces. So there's a couple of issues with this radio. I got it knowing that there might be. It's a 20-plus-year-old radio, 20 to 30-year-old. So the main problem I had was that the fast button didn't work. And it doesn't hold its memories. What do you expect on a 30-year-old radio? So it doesn't have non-volatile RAM in it. And there's no obvious way to get into it. It's adequately featured on the back for what I want. And then it's got these sliding panels. So the first problem you've got is how to dismantle it. So all you do is take a pointed object, gently press in there and slide it. And I'll do them both before I turn it the right way up. As you can see, I've already done that one. Oh, what a giveaway. But same idea, you just put something in there, give it a slide, put it the right way round, slide those out. What you do is you press in the middle. This one's very worn, so it comes off easy. But the idea is you press in the middle like that and just ease it up at the sides. No problem dismantling that. So, very quick walkthrough. Front panel, obviously. Known weak spots are these buttons, all of them. The optical encoder, and mine was very dodgy when I first bought it. After I'd whizzed around the bands a few times in both directions, it cleaned itself up. These pots as well can go a little bit tight. I've lubricated them. I used a small quantity of WD-40. Watch where you're spraying that stuff on radios because it can damage the plastic. So you've got a front panel, which we'll see a little bit more of in a minute. In here is both the tuner, the front end, and the power amplifier. And it's in a metal box so that they're isolated from the front end, but also it's in two sections. So the PA stage can be in one side and the receiver can be in the other. They're not going anywhere. That's thick aluminium, they're not going to talk to each other at all. Some IF filters, bandpass filters between the IFs. The first IF is 70 megahertz. I've no idea what the second one is. And this appears to be the IF module. And that may be very, very useful. So it takes a little bit of tweaking to get it apart. So the first thing you need to do is to remove this knob. How can we do that? There's nothing to remove it won't come off. Well, what you do is you persuade the rubber outer off, and then when you turn it to a certain position, you'll see there's a hole there for an Allen key. If I can get the right Allen key, I shall demonstrate how skillless I am at doing it. Being Japanese, metric Allen keys are in order. There we go. So that comes off, and you must undo this nut. If you don't undo that nut, you'll never get the circuit board out. What you don't need to do, unless you just want to lubricate the shafts, are to remove these. And both of these have little Allen keys underneath. They're a smaller size than that one, whatever size it is. So that one's 2mm and these are 1.5. By removing it, you'll invalidate the warranty, which expired about 25 years ago. It does have a nice little pop-up stand as well. So, all we need to do is gently pull on the sides and it'll tilt and it'll then come undone. I'll just reposition that under the camera. So, how do we dismantle this circuit board? It clips in at the top and the bottom. And I'm actually putting this one back together. So I need to loosen it because it's not aligned properly. Okay, so now do not remove the screw I have marked in red. If you remove that, a little piece of metal will fall off the back, and all it does is it serves as a tiny heatsink for the transistor. All you need to do with a plastic tool such as this is gently ease the brackets out at either end and at the top, these clips. It'll just pop up eventually, but I'm trying to put it back in now, like that. And gently is the order of the day. Everything's old and fatigued and brittle. There we go. So it'll pop back in just as easy as it came out. Don't press down on these. Somebody already has done. These will short out. They're just straps, low impedance straps between different parts of the circuit board. You don't need to be putting a massive pressure on those. So now all my buttons will work up here. What I did, I decided I wasn't going to use that button. So I swapped that one with the fast one. We'll see how that works out when I get it going. I always start these things off by hand, never with a pair of pliers, because if you cross-thread it by hand, you can undo it by hand. If you cross-thread it with a pair of pliers, you'll probably rip the aluminium to pieces. Just applying a little gentle force on the back of the circuit board there. There we are. So be very aware that if it tightens up slowly, there might be something in the way. What I'll do, this is hollow, I'll pop the Allen key through the hole while I can see what I'm doing. Don't necessarily push it all the way back. Quick tweak, pop that on. The other thing I've done with this radio, here fits a battery, a CR2032. Now Yaesu in their wisdom put soldered terminals on it. I've removed it, it went flat many years ago. So I've got a CR2032 to fit, but no holder for it. And it won't stay in there of its own accord. So I've got a folder coming from a folder holder coming from China. So when I receive the holder, I will solder that in one mode or another. So what we need to do then is align the tags at the bottom up with that and gently pull on the outside and there. If you're removing the front panel completely, as I did before, undo these two screws here. They have earth straps on that go to the PA stage, but please remember to put them back, otherwise you'll suffer instability. So that's the basics of it, and nowhere could I find out how you remove that panel, and I was terrified of damaging it. So it won't get damaged now. All is well. Have a little tour around the inside of it. The thing I like about these is they're very common components in them. So yeah, there might be a lot of wire. And this one has the optional FM module in, I believe. I don't know where it goes, but I know, I think it's that. That's the optional FM module. I know we can make it transmit on FM, so I assume that is it. Those are very sought after if you have to buy one separately. Then this appears to be all the IF strip, judging by the number of coils on it. So you've got the front end and the RFIF. So there you go, that is the basics of that. And then assembly is just do it in the same order. Just gently fit the lid back on and then slide the panels back in. So I'm going to make another modification to it hopefully. So I'll see you shortly when I've worked out how to do it. Okay, so the other modification requires removing the PA stage. Why? What am I doing? Specifically, I want to access the receiver side. So the only thing with these old radios, the only thing that I miss compared to a modern one, not that I've ever owned a modern one, apart from the Xiegu, the thing I really miss is a waterfall display. And I've seen all these solutions you can do with aerial switches, antenna switches. I think that's nonsense because you've got to tune two different things. Now, I am having issues getting the cat control working on this. Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Clearly it's been in and out a few times. So once again I'll remove these straps. These were very tight. I don't know why, there's no actual physical force in them. So I'm guessing this is the PA side, power amplifier side. Because why would you have fan cooling on the front end? There indeed. Here's the filters and relays that control the PA stage. One fault that these allegedly have is that this pin goes dry jointed. Lovely. Haven't said the fan come on yet, but then I'm not really trying. Now then, when you've got a situation like this with two transistors, first thing to do is take a picture of it. And the second thing is to identify them. That's the blue one. That's the red one. No chance of plugging those in the wrong way round. And also, that makes sure that you put them on the right way round as well. Because clearly that will go on either way round. What I want to do is intercept the IF stage. Thing of note here is a bulb. Why would you have a bulb? The bulb will protect the antenna stage, the input stage. It has other components in there as well. But if you get a dead receiver, check the bulb. That sounds really stupid, doesn't it? And that's why I point it out. Because if it doesn't need to be hit by lightning, its static discharge is enough. Very careful. Oh, so that's all PA stage as well. These are all high power components. There's a fan motor. So this is purely the PA stage then. So I think there's a link out somewhere to the IF stage. And that could be it. It's one of these. It's one of these two here. This one is the external ALC control. It's got a green band on it. And that goes to there. And this one appears to be the IF input. So what I plan to do is to hook up a, there you go, receive out. So the receive side is not in here, just a link through. And that's fantastic because I can piggyback a connector onto that. So I'm going to go do some research and make myself a connector. And we'll see if we can put a waterfall display on it. See you in a minute. So just to show you what my modification is, the live side of that wire is attached to the RF out, and the wire with the green heat shrink sleeve on is attached to the earthy side. And that's exactly on the receiving side of this relay. So that's going to mean that it can't be damaged when it's in transmit, because the impedance to this side will be much lower than the impedance to the transmitting side. And as the existing radio uses that, it should be adequately protected. I have checked and there is a diode in the radio side. So that's quite interesting. I also conveniently found a hole between the heatsink fins that it will just fit in. And what I've done is I've put stress relief wire wrap onto it so that it can't be pulled through and damage the circuit board easily anyway. Okay, so that actually didn't work. So what I've done now is I've rerouted the cable. The cable is now going to go up one of these grooves, down here, up through that hole. Then it's going to go up the other side and come out again. So it's literally going to go the same way as the existing cable does, looking at the black RG58, and then out through a hole in the back. So we'll see if I can solder that up. So there we are. I was able to modify my radio. It's just a fly lead at the moment. I'll put a proper plug on it, I'm not that bad. So that works. That's coming from the receive end of the relay, down the board, back up and out. There are other RF cables going the same way, so I think it's fairly safe to do that. Refitted the front panel, refitted the PA stage. I was wrong, by the way, that is just the PA stage. Checked on the circuit diagram. And it basically does the same as this cable here, which is the receive input, which needs plugging in again. There. So that's the radio receive plugged back in. And that's it, I can reassemble it now and test it. So, hope this is of some use if you're thinking of buying one of these radios. They can be made very serviceable with a bit of practice. Some of them have some faults. What I do need to do now is source where I can get some more of those tap switches from. That's the radio complete. All I need to do now is put a plug on that. So thanks for watching. We'll see it working in a minute. Okay, so I've given it a bit of a clean up. And at the moment we're in slow mode. And now we can go to fast mode. So now I can tune in 12.5k steps on single sideband. The step size varies, I think it's 25k on medium wave and ever. So it's working. Of course, there's nobody on the air. Okay, so the next test. So here we are. It's going into the SDR. I'm using a cheap one that I don't blow the backside out of it. And up here on SDR++, same frequency 7123. So ideally I need cat control and then I can synchronise the two. But that will come in time. I'm having problems with cat control. But there we go. I've effectively got a panadapter. on a 20-odd-year-old radio. What more can you say? Makes it more useful. I don't have to change antenna over. So let's see what happens if we transmit. See if it blows this to pieces. I haven't got enough hands to do this. So that's putting out 24 watts. And when I transmit, it just blanks. It didn't blow the radio to pieces. So rather than using an external device, which MFJ and a few other people make, and then having to plug 12 volts to switch your relay over, why not just use the built-in relay? I did have a very good look at the circuit diagram for this radio before making these decisions. Please, if you cannot read circuit diagrams in a competent way, do not attempt modifications like this. You could have, 1,000 watts going into places that it shouldn't. So if you're competent and confident, or know someone that is, get them to do it for you. And if you don't mind modifying your radio, I paid a small amount of money for this. If I blow it up, I've lost a small amount of money. I'm very delighted with this radio. Very conscious there's a lot of PRI-M. I think a lot of it is my new power supply that I made. This is a ABS junction box. It's IP65 rated. And the reason I'm using it is my previous one couldn't support more than 5 amps. And this is now capable of 20 amps. Easily. And the other thing I had to do, in another video, I modified the ATU100, made it into an ATU10. Now, obviously, that restricted the maximum power to 43 watts. The second you hit 43 watts, it trips out. Not good, because you don't know what's tripping out and what the load is on the antenna. So now, I've changed the transformer back, and I've changed the software back. So I can easily push 70 odd watts into it with no problem. In fact, I can go even higher and go to the full 100. Okay, it's going to max at 89 watts on that band. But it's not blowing it to pieces. That's the good news. So, very happy with my modifications now. I don't need to swap cables over as much. Obviously, when you transmit 100 watts, it freezes RTL SDR, but that's something I can live with. I very rarely will be using 100 watts anyway. That's easily reset just by doing that. So it did actually freeze up my SDR. I restarted the computer and all is fine. So if we turn the sound off on here and tune the same frequency on the radio.
Dans le nord du 79, département des Deux-Sèvres, le prénom est Norbert, QSL. Ok, Norbert, 19e aussi, du coup, merci beaucoup pour l'appel, 73 et à bientôt. Ok, bonne activation, le prénom.
So a little bit noisy with QRM, that's something I've got to work on. But effectively, I've got a panadapter. I can see who's on through the antenna that I'm actually receiving with, and I can respond accordingly. So whichever band, it would be nice to synchronise it with the radio, but I'm happy with that for now. I've improved the value of a 30-year-old radio.